name is Neil, and this is me making a beard in Zbrush for a dwarf. It's a reasonably simple method I use. I'm designing chess pieces, so they're not the most elaborate beards in the world, but I think they look quite good. So I start by appending a sphere as another subtool, new subtool, and yeah, move it around, reposition it, change the shape a bit, using the move brush at the moment, and I'm just pulling up the sides of the brush, get those sideburns in. Yeah, they're a bit needed to be inflated a little bit there. Yeah, so just moving it around, getting it to shape properly underneath the mouth, and just trying to find a nice pleasing shape for a dwarven beard. Well, it's not looking great yet, but we'll get there. I'm experimenting now with the bottom of it, trying to find something that I like the look of. Yeah, it needs to be inflated a little bit, it's getting a little too thin. And you see that I'm constantly dynameshing the beard to keep the geometry split evenly throughout the tool. Now just renaming, because I'm going to have a couple of subtools here, one for the beard and one for the mustache. I've accidentally named it mustache there, so I'm renaming it beard. Now this is the new tool. I've appended a cylinder. I'll just reposition it over the dwarf's face, and it's quite big at the moment. Alright, get it down to size. Okay, it's starting to look like a mustache a little bit square at the end, so we'll just try to reshape that with the trim dynamic brush. Now this video is running at 4 times speed. I don't work this quickly as nice as I'd like to be able to. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the shape of the mustache. I want it to curl underneath the helmet and kind of curl backwards a little bit and then droop down with a bit of gravity. And yeah, I wanted to fill that top lip without covering the lip itself. I've done a few other dwarven chess pieces, and I have had the moustache cover the lips, but this one, yeah, so it'd be nice to be able to see the lips. Okay, so I'm still just pushing and pulling, and get the trim dynamic brush out again. And then for the ear tips, when I'm trying to shape them, instead of using the move brush, I quite often use the snake hook brush. Just gives you a little bit of, I don't know, I just kind of like it. It gives you a little snaky hooky bits, I guess. It's hard to describe compared to the move brush, but it moves things a little bit more quickly, slightly finer. Right, so I'm back to the beard, and I'm starting to put the details in now. So I start off with the using symmetry, but then I quickly change to not using that, so I can get more individual strokes. So I just carve in the shapes that I'm interested in having. Generally sort of leafy shapes, I guess. No straight lines. I like to keep everything curved. Right, so that gives me the basic shape of what I want. Then I get the clay build-up brush and just build out those shapes a little bit. Plus it has the added effect of looking like there's strands running through the hair. So already that looks a bit more like hair. So I smoothed it all off, and now I'm going back to the Damien standard brush, and instead of subtracting, I'm now adding lines. This really sharpens up each lock of hair. And then I've realised that you'll probably be able to see some of the back of the beard in a few places, so just add a few details on the back. Probably add more than I needed to, but better safe than sorry. Now onto the moustache, same process. Carve in with the Damien standard brush. Then I realised I didn't have a symmetry. I want to have symmetry for the moustache. So symmetry's back on. Just doing both sides at once. Yeah. Then I'm back to the clay build-up brush, am I? Yes. Yep, so I go over that a few times. Yeah, just get those strands in, soften it down a bit, and then smooth it down, and then we're back to the Damien standard brush, and we're putting in the sharper. We're adding lines now instead of taking away. It really sharpens up those locks again. And just thought it needed a little bit of moving around still. And just making the moustache curve a little bit around the beard to make it make them look like they actually interact with each other. And just pulling the sideburns in a little bit because they were looking like they were growing into the helmet too much instead of just resting up against it. Now I do come back to the beard again in a bit. I'm about to leave it to do something else, I think. But yeah, the beard is not finished. At the moment I'm just playing around with a few more lines. Try not to make those locks look too square. Not square, but too flat, I guess is what I mean. Right. Now, I have realised that I've only done the front of the dwarf, and my dwarf is not going to be bald at the back, he's going to have hair. So, we append another sphere, dynamesh it, get a bit more geometry in there, and then start shaping it again with the move scale brushes. Then we get the move brush out, start making the shape we want with it. Yeah, now I've realised I haven't finished the beard. So what I do with the beard is I go back and I grab that snake hook brush I was using before, and I just pull out a few strands. I don't have symmetry on, so I'm just making some of those locks just stick out from the general mass of hair, just to make it look a little bit hairier, I guess. But my goal with these is for them to be 3D printable, so I don't want anything flying away too much. That's going to be too delicate or fine to print. So these are just little knobs, really, I guess, to give a little bit of texture. But yes, things that the printer will still be able to cope with. So you can see the full chest piece there before, and there was a chest tile sitting underneath it. Just I keep the chest tile there to make sure I don't go over the edges where it would impede with another chest piece. There was more of an issue with some of the other pieces I did than this one. This one didn't really come close to the edges at all. Now I'm making the hair, same as before. onto the clay build-up brush here, just doing the strands with that after cutting in with the Damien Standard. I'm sure there are probably easier and better ways to make hair, but this has been working for me and I quite enjoy the process, so yeah, stick with this for now. This chest piece will be the rook. Want him to look like he was reasonably well armoured and intimidating with those horns on the helmet. Anyway, carrying on with the Damien Standard brush, adding strands now, just like we did with the beard and the moustache. Yeah, I just realised it was a bit knobbly in a few spots, so just zoom in and trying to clean up a few details. Back in with the Damien Standard brush on subtracting, cutting in lines again. Just wanted to define the locks a little bit more. Didn't seem to be standing out well enough for me. Right, and then I've realised that you can see the bottom of the hair, but I had not made any hair shapes. So I just did that quickly there. And just tidying up a few little bits here and there. Right, back to that snakehook brush, and yeah, just adding little tips to the locks really, so it doesn't just look like one mass of hair anymore. Yeah, I was having trouble there, so I just masked a little area and then pulled out above it. Try not to make these tips too fine, but some of them might be a little fine for 3D printing. We'll find out. I will of course test print all of these before I try to sell them or whatever I plan on doing with them. Now I'm just having a few little locks here, like interacting with the padded armour he's wearing, so I just want it to look like it's curling up where it meets. Yeah. Right, and then that is the chest piece. Now I'll just check it in a few other colours, just to make sure, or a few other materials I should say, not just changing the colour. Just to make sure it looks okay. And then, yeah. Looks pretty good.